I want to share something interesting with you. I saw a news report on CNBC featuring Meredith Whitney, and some people may remember that name. Meredith was one of the, or credited at least, as being one of the first analysts to predict the market troubles of the early 2000s, right? She was on the front end of saying, we got a crash coming. So when she speaks, people have a tendency to pay close attention. And she's been out of the limelight for a while, and now she's back in because, real estate's the hot topic once again. Well, here's what she reported, which I find fascinating. She predicts a downturn in prices over the next 2 to 5 years. And that everybody's ears perked right up when that information was released. When she spoke those words, if you will, ears perked up all across the real estate market. But then she went on to say that decline is projected to be somewhere between 2 and 3% over 2 to 5 years. Not 2 to 3% a year, 2 to 3% total decline somewhere in the next 2 to 5 years. So guys, wow, that's actually really, really good news. And what I mean by that is, on the surface, it sounds like home prices are declining. It's better to wait, right? But is it really better to wait for a 3% savings? And if you were to buy today and home prices go down 3% in 5 years, did you really lose money? And here's what I mean by that. Let's play this out in today's market. If you were to buy a $400,000 house today and put 10% down, you'd have a mortgage of $360,000, or roughly $40,000 in equity, right? 400 minus 360. Now, I know there are other costs that go into a transaction, other numbers that are involved, but just for this illustration, let's stay top line, high level, round numbers. So in 5 years, if that property declined the full 3% that she predicts, and it could be more, it could be less, but I'm using her numbers, that property would be worth $388,000. Oh my God, I lost 12 grand, right? Well, let's play it all the way out. If you took a 30-year fixed rate at 6.75%, which is about the rate of the day as we're doing the show with you today, after 60 payments, right, after a full 5 years, that loan balance would be $337,500, roughly. There's some change in there too. But here's my point. 388 minus 337,500 leaves you $50,500 in equity. So you lost 12, right, on paper, but you've absorbed it. You started with 40,000 in equity, and you now have 50,000 in equity. And I get it, right? $12,000 less valuable is the asset that you financed. But if you were to rent for those very same 5 years and spend, I don't know, $3,000 a month, that's what? $30,000, $36,000 a year times 5 years, well over $150,000, right? $180,000 in 5 years, waiting to offset that $12,000 that you'd lose if you jumped in right now, which really isn't a loss because you'd have $10,000 more in equity by owning and buying today and suffering a 3% loss. And that's making a ton of assumptions, assuming interest rates don't go back down, assuming you don't refinance. This is all just high level. But my point is, that article is really, really good news, because if property values only suffer a 3% pullback in 5 years after the crazy, crazy appreciation run that we've been on, wow,